Lenses on Literature was developed from a classroom idea. How can we design instruction from the assumption that every student can read, think, and write creatively and confidently about rich and complex ideas using complex texts? Educators and experts across 40-plus states joined to form a nonprofit, the Literacy Design Collaborative, or LDC, determined to prove that this is possible for all students. Committed to raising rigor and impacting student outcomes, literacy design collaborative strategies were piloted in districts across the United States.
The Literacy Design Collaborative is a framework that puts literacy first. If the lead isn't right, if the claim isn't right, what you have is students investing time and many times lots of work into something that has no foundation and just falls apart. What LDC provides are those markers, those steps, those stop and consider portions. LDC, when the task is right and the mini-tasks are right and the structure is right, does the kind of thing that we've wanted to happen in all classes, but especially social studies, science, and English classes. And that is students move through a process toward sifting the information and then toward using the information to support their own assertion.
Since 2009, over 940 school districts, over 100,000 educators, and over 2.4 million students have been involved in implementing and refining the task-driven LDC instructional model. This powerful instructional model is the heart of the newest literacy solution from Carnegie Learning, Lenses on Literature.
Anything in the classroom, I think that the first and foremost rule of thumb is that you have really engaging, rigorous work that is very clear to the students, because that's just like the basis of classroom management. So if you are clear in your specific expectations and in your task and the purpose of what you're learning, everything else kind of falls into place, so they get more engaged as students. They're excited and curious learners.
You want to manage their acquisition of this idea, this concept, this skill. And we want to figure out what that looks like, how that plays out, and that's the thinking that the teachers are really obsessed on. And you see it come alive, particularly in our English classrooms where they've been doing the lead on this work, where the kids are actually discussing. They don't need to be a note taker or a timekeeper. They're having conversations about the work, which is really what you want them to do. But when you plan tasks, activities, and questions that require kids to think, they will take to it and they will think.
We believe all learners can experience engagement and joy in rigorous, complex thinking.
The key result is when you see that paper, when you see that sample of student writing and compare it and assess it based on the rubric and providing feedback to that student. Did this student demonstrate the literacy skills that I had planned at the beginning of my module?
They proved to me that they had learned a lot, that they were able to discuss these issues, the good and the bad.
Oh my goodness. The children is younger than 14.
When I heard classmates speak, it gave me a better idea of what I'm gonna write about. 2 hours a day, that's not enough.
But they were lucky to have education because the government financed it for them.
But was the education enough for their future?
The conversation just kept growing and growing, and questions were being asked and people were disagreeing with one another, and the conversation itself is another skill.
One house full of 20 families.
Students who experience the Lenses on Literature model demonstrate improved writing quality, quantity, rigor, and stamina, and growing confidence in their own abilities.
When I was in middle school and I would have a paper that's due, I would usually procrastinate on it a lot just because I didn't know where to start. My second semester, I took an English class that was very, very difficult. I wanted to drop it at some point, but then I stayed because I realized that I could understand the reading if I just took the time to break it down, because I had forgotten, hey, I know these skills, and these skills are the skills that I learned through LDC. Something that my professors have told me is that I really go in depth. Other classmates don't necessarily do, and it's because I have this perspective on things that was taught through me through LDC.
Our mission is progress for students and educators. We believe educators deserve just as much support as students do.
It puts these pedagogical tools in their hands and enables them to share information, share best practices in a way that really promotes leadership.
It really shows me when the students are done writing, oh, they didn't really touch the standards, or they did, or where in the writing of the task do I see the standards in it? And I think
having that conscious mind around it really helps focus on how I teach to the standards. Because I never really taught like that. I never planned that way, where standards are first, and then you work your task, and then everything else moves forward.
It's been a great process, and it's challenging and it's time consuming, but the results are really amazing and fulfilling as a teacher.
Lenses on Literature is designed to engage all students in authentic and rigorous grade-level literacy experiences and support all educators with the professional learning to ensure student success. Lenses on Literature. Think critically. Read joyfully. Write confidently. To learn more, visit www.carnegielearning.com/lenses.